Section 5 of the Ascent of Mount Carmel by St. John of the Cross. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Book 1, Chapter 3. The first cause, the privation of the desire. The privation of all pleasures to the desire in all things is here called night. For as night is nothing else but the absence of light, and consequently of visible objects, whereby the faculty of vision remains in darkness unemployed, so the mortification of the desires is as night to the soul. For when the soul denies itself those pleasures which outward things furnish to the desire, it is as if it were in darkness, without occupation. As the faculty of vision is nourished by light and fed by visible objects, and ceases to be so fed when the light is withdrawn, so the soul by means of the desire feeds on those things which, corresponding with its powers, give it pleasure, but when the desire is mortified, it derives no more pleasure from them, and thus, so far as the desire is concerned, the soul abides in darkness, without occupation. This may be illustrated in the case of all the faculties of the soul. When the soul denies itself the pleasure arising from all that gratifies the ear, it remains, so far as the faculty of hearing is concerned, in darkness, without occupation. And when it denies itself all that is pleasing to the eye, it remains in darkness, so far as it relates to the faculty of sight. The same may be said of the other senses, so that he who shall deny himself all satisfaction derivable from external objects, mortifying the desire thereof, may be said to be in a state which is as night, and this is nothing else but an entire detachment from all things. Philosophers say that the soul is a blank when first infused into the body, without knowledge of any kind whatever, and incapable of receiving knowledge, in the course of nature, in any other way than through the senses. Thus, while in the body, the soul is like a man imprisoned in darkness, who has no knowledge of what passes without beyond what he can learn by looking through the window of his cell, and who, if he did not so look, could in no other way learn anything at all. Thus, then, the soul cannot naturally know anything beyond what reaches it through the senses, which are the windows of its cell. If then the impressions and communications of sense be neglected and denied, we may well say that the soul is in darkness and empty, because according to this opinion there is no other natural way for knowledge or light to enter in. It is true, indeed, that we cannot help hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, and touching, but this is of no moment, and does not trouble the soul when the objects of sense are repelled, any more than if we neither heard nor saw. For he who shuts his eyes is as much in darkness as a blind man who cannot see. This is the meaning of the psalmist when he said, "I am poor, and in labours from my youth." He says that he is poor, though it is certain he was rich, because he had not set his mind upon riches. He was really like a poor man. If he had been really poor, yet not in spirit, he would not have been truly poor, for his soul would have been rich, full of desires. I call this detachment the night of the soul, for I am not speaking here of the absence of things, for absence is not detachment if the desire of them remain, but of that detachment which consists in suppressing desire, and avoiding pleasure. It is this that sets the soul free, even though possession may be still retained. The things of this world neither occupy nor injure the soul, because they do not enter within, but rather the will and desire of them which abide within it. This is the night of the sensual part of the soul. And now I proceed to explain how the soul is to depart from its house in the obscure night of sense, in order to be united with God. End of section 5.